vanished at the light, the Flannan Isles mystery. You step off the relief ship onto the jagged rocks of the Flannan Isles. The wind is howling, the waves slamming the cliffside. But something feels wrong, eerily wrong. The towering lighthouse ahead is dark, its light extinguished against the gray December sky of 1900. You call out. No answer. The door is unlocked. Inside, the clocks have stopped. Oilskins, essential in the brutal cold, hang on the hooks. A meal sits half-eaten on the table. No sign of the three men who were supposed to be guarding this lonely outpost. They are gone without a trace. Set nearly 20 miles off the remote coast of Scotland, the Flannan Isles Lighthouse stood as a solitary guardian against the fierce Atlantic. Three keepers, James Duckett, Thomas Marshall, and Donald MacArthur, were stationed here, rotating shifts to keep the vital light burning. But on December 15, 1900, that light went dark. When a relief vessel finally reached the island 9 days later, the crew was met with silence and a scene that felt more haunted than abandoned. Everything was in place, except the men. The official investigation began swiftly. The Northern Lighthouse Board sent an officer to assess the site. On the west side of the island, they found chaos. Storm damage was everywhere. Bent iron railings, torn up pathways, and equipment scattered like a child's toys. It was as if nature itself had unleashed fury upon this rock. The prevailing theory became one of tragedy. A sudden rogue wave, towering and violent, may have swept the men to their deaths as they tried to secure supplies during the storm. But if so, why were 2 sets of oilskins still inside? Why did the clock stop and the meal remain untouched? Even then, people struggled to accept the simplest answer. The newspapers ran wild. Had the men quarreled and fallen to violence? Had they been kidnapped by foreign spies or abducted by something otherworldly? Whispers of sea monsters, ghost ships, and curses filled the air. And in the absence of bodies, of final words, of any physical proof, the story was free to grow. A century later, poems and songs still recount the ghostly silence of the Flannan Isle. Yet the most accepted conclusion remains the rogue wave, a freak act of nature that caught seasoned men off guard. The sea, after all, gives no warnings. But that doesn't explain everything. Not the locked door. Not the sense that they had vanished mid-sentence. Not the feeling, even now, that something is missing. You were there, just long enough to feel the chill they must have felt, the unease they might have sensed. If you had been on that rock, facing crashing waves and shrieking winds, would you have gone out too? If mysteries like this leave you haunted, stay with us. Like, share, and subscribe for more stories that history couldn't quite finish. Because some lighthouses don't just guide ships, they guard secrets.